What is up, iHeartRaves? My name is Ducky, also known as Miss Halcyon441 here on Instagram, and I am here on behalf of iHeartRaves to teach you guys how to make a candy cuff today. Now, I have been raving since I was 15 back in 2013, and I've been making candy for even longer than that. Everybody starts off with a single, and every time I go to a rave, people are always asking me, how long did it take you to make that candy? How long have you been making candy? That must have taken forever. But basically, the only answer that I have is I've been doing this for so long, it's become incredibly easy for me. So what I'm here to do today is I'm going to teach you guys how to make a basic candy cuff, and from that you can honestly build off from absolutely any part of it and make it completely 100% your own. There is no right or wrong way to do candy. As long as you are making it with the intention of it being candy, then it will be. Because often people will also tell me that they don't think their candy is very good, and that is a lie. Because as long as it is made with the intention of you put your love and your time and effort into it, that is candy, that makes it special, that makes it good. So the easiest way to go over any of this is I'm going to show you the supplies we're working with today. We're going to be working with just basic pony beads in a rainbow variety. This is not my entire stash, but I figured because I'm going to make this as beginner friendly as possible, we're going to use a different color for every different step of the way, just so it's more easy to be seen. Some other supplies I'm going to be using, obviously given, is going to be elastic cord. I personally use the fabric covered stuff. I find it way better than Stretch Magic. It knots better, it holds better, it just ages better. But it is all 100% personal preference. It's optional. If you're using fabric covered elastic, you're going to want to have a lighter with you just to cauterize the ends. It'll keep everything from fraying, and it'll make everything a heck of a lot easier to put together. Trust me, I've been doing this for almost 10 years. I know a few things, and I know a few tips and tricks. That also being said, if you have any questions at any point along this way, feel free to send me a DM, and I'm more than happy to try and help you figure things out. I just want to be able to spread the love and spread candy culture, basically. There are a lot of very, very, very prominent candy kids that I learned from, and I will probably find a way to link them around because I couldn't have gotten to the point where I am making candy without them, and they deserve credit where credit is due. So without further ado, let's get into it. So what I've already gone ahead and done is I've already threaded my needle. The biggest reason why I use this is because I do have arthritis in my hands. However, it does help over time because making a cuff is just a lot of repetitive work. So, highly recommend, be it a metal needle, a plastic one, whatever floats your boat. This is definitely a good investment into making candy. So the easiest way to explain what we're going to do is we're going to make a single to start off with, tie it off, and build off from there. So we're starting with rainbow beads and black beads. I'm doing this simply just to make it as easily as possible to follow along. So what we're going to start off with is we're going to take 2 of the black beads and the red one. So from there, I'm going to just repeat that on with the orange, yellow, purple. We are going to basically just reverse that. So we're going to go the opposite way of the rainbow. So now that we have finished our first little single, what I do is take the needle off immediately. Tie it off with just enough give, but so it's still nice and tight. I'm going to tie that off a few times. It's just simple knots, surgeon's knot, fishing knots, it'll work. That's also what I like best about this string is that it holds knots incredibly well. Stretch Magic does not. And so from here, because I am using string that is still technically on a spool, I'm going to just unravel a bit. Cauterize those ends. And retie the needle back on. And there we have the start of our cuff. Just a single, nothing special, nothing fancy yet. So from this point here, what I've done, because we ended on the orange bit, I just moved my string to the red just by threading it simply through. So from here, what we're going to do is I'm going to take a red, a black, and an orange, just so that the pattern is easiest to follow and so you can get an idea as to what we're doing. So I'm going to thread those beads on in that order, and from there thread it through the orange bead and pull it. And there we have the first point of the cuff, and then once again, like I referenced, it's a lot of repetitive work, but it is very, very simple when you break it down into easy little bite-sized bits. So we're going to continue that along, just around the whole thing. Now that we have reached the very last bit of it, we're going to thread the beads on like we have the entire time. And once they are here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread it through the red bead on the very first bit of the single, so the first bit of the cuff, and thread it up through the second red bead and into the black bead here, and pull. And voila, that is the first little segment of the cuff. Now from here, you want to keep it taut, but not tight, so it still stretches. And ideally throughout the cuff, you do want to keep checking this. For simplicity's sake, I'm just going to do it at the end of each row like I do normally, because I want to keep this as basic as possible so you can understand 100% of what I am doing. So from here, we're going to finish off the first X of the X base. Now, that is pretty much the bread and butter of making a 3D cuff, which is what we're going to do. I'm going to make it up to a 2X. You can always do it just to a 1. You can expand it to 3, 12, whatever, how many. Biggest one I've ever made for reference is 9. And that already in itself is incredibly cumbersome to wear, and it's been retired ever since. But we're here just to teach the basics. If you want to learn how to build bigger, I'm going to give you the basic building blocks on how to do that. It's incredibly simple, and like I said in the beginning, Kandi is 100% your own. You're going to do it 100% however you want to do it. There is no rules here. This is just an easy way of figuring it out. So for the next segment here, we're going to use just the rainbow beads, no black this time around. So with where the string came up through the reds, we're going to start on the orange point this time. So same as we have been doing the whole time. Thread 3, thread it through, and continue. With the last 3, we're going to thread it through the black bead here, the first orange bead, and the second orange bead. Do a quick little tension check. And there we have the first X done. Now, if we were just making a single X cuff, what we would do here is we would reduce the bead count, tie it off with the black beads just so it matches that, and it would be 100% finished. But what I'm going to do today is we're going to do a double X base so that you can build off of it a little bit more than just the single X. Because with the single X base, it's just the 1 point around, that's it. With the double, you have the 2 points, and then you can do another layer on the outside, which is personally what I prefer to do. I don't like doing the single X's only because I don't like the way that they sit when I wear them. But it is 100% up to personal preference here. I'm just giving you some building blocks. And once again, we're just going to do another layer around, continuing off your pattern. So, doing the black one, the part of the pattern with the black beads once again. And I will see you at the end of this row again. Again, because we've hit the end of the pattern, we're just going to thread it up through these 3 beads here and do a tension check. Can I borrow some hands? The last time around with the rainbow beads, we're going to do just the rainbows again, not the part with the black beads, just to finish off the pattern because we are just about at the end of it here, and then we're going to finish tying off the cuff.
But the vibe is wrong, and it haunted me all the way home. I'm not loving you the way I wanted to, what I had to do, and I run from you. I'm in love with you, but the vibe is wrong, and it haunted me all the way home.
And for the last time here, up through the black bead and the 2 yellow beads here. Do a little bit of a tension check. So pull all that slack through. And there we have the structure pretty much finished. Now to finish it off, we're going to take 2 black beads for each little segment here to mirror the bottom, and we'll tie off the cuff from there. So last time around, 2 beads, thread it through the middle point on the next one over, and repeat all the way around. So now that we've gotten to the last point here and we've threaded on our last 2 black beads, we're going to take our needle and go from the middle yellow bead here all the way through the first set of black beads here and through the green middle one here. I'm going to tighten that just enough. Make sure your tension is consistent. Now from here, to tie it off, the easiest way to do it that I'm going to explain, you're going to take your needle and thread it through the middle part here. Now, the needle did fall off, but I usually would take it off at this point anyways, so we're going to loop it through like so. Pull a little bit, and do it a couple of times over. So see, that is where our knot is, right here, so when it's done, it will be hidden inside of the structure here. So we're going to do that a few times. So I've already done it twice, so a third. And then what I do is in this little bit here, I'm going to take my string, pop it in, and do a knot like that, just for extra support. And then knot it a couple more times. Now that that's done, we're going to just take the end, snip it off, and there we have a double X-base cuff. So there we go. Honestly, the hardest part of it is done. So once again, time to start the building off process. So I have already threaded and tied off my needle, counted out some beads. You don't have to do this, but I just find it more simpler just to make things more streamlined for this. If I was just making candy on my own, everything would be still in the bins, if I'm being perfectly honest. So what we're going to start from here is we're going to start from a middle bead, so one of the connectors here. We're going to start with red, just because that's where we started on the first one. thread it through. Now to start the pattern off, because we're making this easy to follow, we're going to take the 2 reds, a black bead, and 2 oranges. So it's very, very similar as we did with this. However, we are just expanding the bead count by 1 little segment here. So generally, if you're building off of something, you're going to just increase the bead count by 2. So 1 on each side of your connector bead. Thread it through the orange again, and you have a little peak off the side here. So from there, we're going to take 2 orange, a black, and 2 yellows, and just repeat the pattern around like we were doing to begin with, making the base. And now once again, once we reach the end of the pattern, we're going to thread our beads on. Now for me, because I always work with excess string, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the end here, pinch it off in my hand, and we're going to do the tension check. So just pull out all of that slack from each point. And from there, because I'm working on the spool still. So from here, just gonna take it and tie it off like you would with a single. Nothing fancy, just a couple knots. And from there, take the ends, trim them off, cauterize your working end, and our first point of our first row of peaks is finished. And so from here again, because we have finished this first point, and because it is going to be incredibly repetitive, like I mentioned at the top of this, it gets incredibly easy. It's just a lot of the same steps over and over again, just applied differently. So from here, starting at the red point again, we're going to start in the middle red bead here, the very middle of the cuff. And we're going to repeat the pattern once again without using the black beads, because what we're going to do at the first one, thread 2 beads on here, and from the black bead at the midpoint on the row that we just made, thread it through. And that is how we make our peaks. So after you do the second bit of the pattern, through the middle bead of the cuff, and there you have the first finished point. So you're going to repeat that process all the way around once again, tie it off, and I will see you when we go to start the next row.
Heartbreak house. Sorry, not sorry. Ay, welcome to the heartbreak house. Ay, I'm so on right now. Ay, I can't ever turn down. Out going hard till the sun up. Wanna be prepared if you run up. Wednesday, hit 'em with the wubs. Ay, we ain't ever dealing with a scrub. Ay, heartbreak house. Welcome to the heartbreak house. Wednesday, hit 'em with the wubs. Ay, heartbreak house.
So now that we have the first set of peaks finished, which is turning it into 3D, we're going to build the second one. Now this is generally where the needle comes really in handy, and why I recommend it so much is because, once again, where we started our first row on the bottom, we're actually starting it from the middle point here. and threading that through. And then we're going to just repeat the same steps all the way around once more. Now once again, we're just going to start the pattern off, starting with a couple red beads, a black bead, and 2 orange beads. And doing that all the way around, threading it through the middle bead of the cuff here to make the start of the second row.
Welcome to the heartbreak house. House. Welcome to the heartbreak house. 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 Yo, heartbreak house. 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 Yeah. Yo, what's up, girl? Notice you noticing me. I make girls come out they seats, they meet me at the DoubleTree. I could make some time for you, but I cannot promise a lot, cause this the heartbreak house, and this that shit that make the speakers pop. Welcome to the heartbreak house. Sorry, not sorry. Yeah, welcome to the house of the heartbreak. You see it?
And then from here, like I said, it is going to be basically just the exact same that we did, finishing this one off. So thread through our connector bead, which we're going to start off on red because that is where we started the whole cuff. That's where we'll end the cuff. Give it a little bit of slack here. Take 2 beads, thread them on. Thread it through the black point, 2 orange beads, and through the middle point. See you at the end.
It's everywhere like an outbreak. Eyes on us like a bout face. What's with your man? Don't he know you and I got some plans? I got her world in my hands. I got my toes in the sand. So what in the fuck is you saying? Hey, heartbreak house. Welcome to the heartbreak house. Yo, heartbreak house. Welcome to the heartbreak house. 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 Welcome to the heartbreak house. House. Welcome to the heartbreak house. 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 Yo, heartbreak house. 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 What's up, girl? Notice you noticing me. I make girls come out they seats, they meet me at the DoubleTree. I could make some time for you, but I cannot promise a lot, cause this the heartbreak house, and this that shit that make the speakers pop.
So from here, we have the first set of finished points. You can feel free to stop right here, or you can continue on with me, because this is essentially a finished cuff already, but I like to make it just a little bit bigger. So we are now in the home stretch of things here because we have just finished both rows of points on our first layer. Now you are perfectly fine to just stop here. Like I said, personal preference. I like to finish off the whole row, and then from there I would attach something, be it a perler, a piece of like a toy or something. But we're just going to keep it nice and simple today so you can show things. Possibly we'll come back in the future to show you how to attach things to candy cuffs, if iHeartRaves will have me. So from here, like I said, we're going to increase the bead count on each side by 1. So we're going to do 3 on one side instead of 2. A black, 3 more, and through the middle point bead here, making our second row of peaks. You'll see that. So once again, all the way around the cuff, tie it off, and we'll do the other thing on the bottom.
Welcome to the heartbreak house. House.
finally hit the absolute last point that we have to finish off, so we're going to just repeat the pattern one more time all the way around, starting at red like we did to begin with, and we're going to end with red. So 3 here, through the black bead, 3 here, and through here, and I'll see you at the end. And now you have a completely finished 3D cuff. I hope this was helpful. I really hope that I made this as easy as possible to follow. Like I said at the beginning, if you have any questions, please feel free to DM me and I will do my absolute best to try and help you out. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you iHeartRace for having me. My name is Ducky, also Miss Halcyon441. Be sure to follow me over on Instagram, as I do like to try and post as much Kandi content as possible. With all the free time on my hands, I definitely am going to be digging into the beads a lot more. Feel free to tag me in anything that you make. I can't wait to see what you guys do.